Hello everyone, Sensei Patrick here. I just wanted to make a video to yap and talk, things like that. Just a bunch of different things, but probably gonna try to do more things like this just to yap away. No one's ever gonna see this anyways. Well, besides like the 50 people who watch. Or, I don't even know, 50 people don't regularly watch. Anyways, some of the things that I wanted to talk about were just little things. I don't know. One of them, heard recently there's like a whole the Skyblivion project is like coming around, and there's some people that are like, I bet Bethesda's gonna shut it down, and I don't know if people really look into it enough to know how Bethesda handles mods. Bethesda in general doesn't care too much if you mod. There's a stipulation there, and that depending on what you do, they do care, right? So, the original Skyblivion project got shut down way back when, because it wasn't, first off, there was a couple reasons. One of the reasons was it wasn't using Oblivion's textures and stuff, and all that. So, if you got Skyblivion, you didn't have to own Oblivion, which, by itself isn't necessarily a problem, but it is a problem when they used the voice acting from Oblivion. So, Bethesda had copyrights on the voices for their Oblivion, their Oblivion voice actors and all that, and so the Skyblivion team were using that, and they got shut down for that, right? The new Skyblivion team isn't doing that. They have their own voice actors. Everything's from scratch. It's just a remake of Oblivion and Skyrim, right? And Bethesda has given the okay. And I really don't see Bethesda shutting it down. They probably won't. Too much bad PR, first off. Second off, in general, their stance on mods is pretty lackadaisical compared to everybody else. Everybody else is a lot more harsh with mods, and Bethesda's just like, we really don't care. There's like several points in history for Bethesda where they tried to do paid mods, but even then, most companies would have gone really hard on the paid mods, right? They would have really went in on it. If they were going to do it, they would have really went in on it, and it would have lasted a while, and people would have been pissed off. With how Bethesda handled it was they tried it, people got pissed off, and they immediately backpedaled each time they tried it. They tried it like 3 times, right? And each time they also slowly went into it. They like stepped in, and they were like, is this okay? And then everyone got pissed off, and they were like, okay, it's not okay. We'll come back to this at a later point. We do like money after all, and they're a business. What business doesn't like money? That's just how businesses are. Money. They love money. So that's kind of, a lot of people are like talking about how Bethesda's going to shut down. Bethesda's probably not going to shut down the new Skyblivion project because they're doing it completely from scratch. They're not using any of the assets from Oblivion, and they're not doing, requiring any assets for, they're not doing the voice acting assets either. They're not taking the voice acting from Oblivion. They're going to redo everything, right? That's their plan. So, Bethesda's probably not going to bother with it. Some people might go, well, then why did the Bethesda copyright them, copyright the other team if they were using their own assets besides the voice acting? Isn't it fine to let them do the voice acting? Unfortunately, that's not how it works, because Bethesda's a company. It is a big company. It's not an independent, like a creator on YouTube who can just do their own stuff independently. Bethesda was owned by Bethesda Softworks. And so if Bethesda Softworks doesn't like that people are using Bethesda Game Studios stuff, then they would shut them down, right? So, and more importantly, Bethesda Softworks was owned by ZeniMax, who were pretty fucking greedy. Basically, the thing is that they couldn't allow people to use their copyright because they had people above them, and even above those people, who would not like that, right? So you can't use copyright of like companies when it's something like that, right? Even if the game studio doesn't care. However, you can absolutely just do it when it like remake the game from scratch if you want, if they give their blessing. And Bethesda Game Studios has in general given their blessing. A lot of people are going to be like, oh well, what about the remake? Oh, what if they make a remake of Oblivion? If they make a remake of Oblivion, they're really not going to care that there's another Oblivion remake, but in Skyrim, because the thing is that they're going to be different in many ways. The Skyrim Oblivion is going to be more similar to Skyrim, while this remake Oblivion would probably be more similar to Oblivion, essentially, right? And people will still buy the remake of Oblivion. Even if this mod remake exists, there's still going to be a shit ton of people who buy the remake of Oblivion, just because it's Oblivion, and they're going to go, oh, well, maybe they made a really good product. Whether or not they will is a different debate. But right now we're talking about they would shut down Skyblivion because of a remake. They probably wouldn't, right? A good example of how other modders had done this before the first Skyblivion team, and they did things like this and it worked great, was for example, the Tales of Two Wastelands, which basically combined Fallout 3 and Fallout New Vegas. They never got any shit over that. Why? Well, because they required you to have the assets for both games. You had to have bought Fallout 3 and New Vegas in order to play that mod. And it was just a combination of the two. So you could play Fallout 3 and New Vegas at the same time with the same character, and you wouldn't have to make a new character or start a new game, start a different game. Because it was the same game, just that both of those two different games were put into one. So that's how they did it, right? They required you to have the assets. Another example is let me go ahead and pop on here. Enderal, that's it, sorry. Enderal, I was forgetting on the name. Enderal's a good example, as that's a brand new game, just a completely game made from scratch, using the engine from Skyrim, and they had no problem. Bethesda had no problem with that being a thing, because you had to have Skyrim before you could play Enderal. Right, same thing with like the special edition of Enderal. You had to have the special edition before you play Enderal. What are you doing? Get down from there. Sorry, my cat's climbing up on a desk or something. I'm not sure. So that's kind of how Bethesda is with modding. Is as long as you don't break copyright or do things you're not allowed to do, they don't give a crap. You could remake Oblivion if you make it from scratch, and you also, all the assets are your own, including voice acting and all that. They don't care. They're fine with it as long as you go through the proper means to get them to be okay with it, right? And Bethesda isn't new to, benefiting off of the modders. They love to benefit off the modders. So, they hired a bunch of modders back in 2022 or something like that. It was like during Starfield's creation that they hired a bunch of modders. They do not care that much. As long as they make money, they're fine, right? That's just in general how it is. That's how most companies are. It's just most companies also care a little bit more about their personal stuff, but that's because they don't give out their code and their engines for free, right? But Bethesda, they did that with Oblivion, and they've done that since then. Since Oblivion, they've let their engine out, and they said, fuck it, go ahead, take it, we don't care. And so now, they really can't stop doing that, so at this point, they really don't care, because they give the engine out to everybody for free, And that's just kind of how it is. So a lot of people are like talking about how Skyblivion is going to shut down by Bethesda. No, it's not. I am a fan of Bethesda, but I'm not going to be seriously I'm an apologist for Bethesda. They've done some stupid stuff. Every company does. Everything does. That's just how it is. Many game companies have done stupid stuff. Bethesda had their several tries with trying to monetize modding in a not great way, right? Like the Creation Club is kind of what they've settled on, and it's fine. It's whatever, You could still use the Nexus. You can still use Nexus. You can use Mod Organizer for the thing. You can use Vortex. You can use whatever mod program you want. You can still use those. And Creation Club is just like a way for some people to make a quick buck or something, or try and get into the pipeline to start getting hired for Bethesda if that's what they wanted, right? So Creation Club's fine. It can be, it's a bit overpricey, but that's what it is. I don't know. Like, its pricing for mods is weird because it's like, you could say, oh, well, it's $1 for my mod. But is $1 really worth that mod? Because you could buy a full game for $60, and that full game is going to be like 1,000, 10,000 times, have like 10,000 times more stuff in it than that mod is. So then is $1 worth it? Well, no. It should probably be like a penny. But if you're doing a penny, then the modder doesn't make anything. In fact, they lose money. So then, you come to a weird thing where it's like you can't monetize it with too low of a value. Because if it's too low, then the modder is actually losing it, and they're like, everybody's losing in that situation, right? Because you're paying for the modder's not making money. In fact, they're losing money from the mod. So then nobody wins with that. So you have to have this weird thing where if you're gonna pay for mods, it has to be more than what that mod would actually be worth, but not so much that it's like, well, this is overpriced junk, right? And then you'll also have to be like, and then you also have to compare it to mods that are free and be like, well, there's free mods that are way better than this. And it's like, that's true. And that's just what it is. Recently, Nexus, the modding website, has had some hot takes on what they consider okay. And I think that's kind of, everybody's starting to come around to the fact that Nexus is kind of a bunch of hypocrites, and I'm not a fan of a lot of their things. Like, the website itself is great. It's fantastic. The moderators and the people who run it are not so cool in some of their takes. For instance, there was they're like, you've tried to do a Donald Trump mod and then it gets taken off or something. Political mods, they get taken off. What the fuck? Why are we doing that? Just let them have it. The only mods that should be removed from Nexus are mods that are illegal and break terms of service that are like illegal. Now, I said break terms of service, but really the terms of service should be like, you can't post illegal mods on here, right? That should be what it is. It shouldn't be like, oh, well, you can't post mods that I disagree with, because that's like a stupid terms of service. The terms of service should just be, you can't post illegal mods, right? Mods that are illegal. Mods that are like, anything that's really bad. I'm not going to say any of the names, but we all kind of know the type of stuff that that when you say it's illegal, that's kind of stuff that we're talking about, right? Or things that are like harmful to people's computers, like viruses and stuff, are things that should also be removed from the mod website, right? Like, that type of stuff is what should be removed, not just, well, I don't like that you like Trump, so fuck you, or I don't like that you like Biden, so fuck you, right? It's like, political stuff shouldn't be removed from the website, but it is, because they're hypocrites. More importantly, they also, their stance on like paid versus not paid shit is really fucking aggravating, because it's like, modding should be a hobby and you shouldn't make money from your hobby. What are we talking about? Yes, you should be able to make money from your hobby. Art is a hobby. People get paid for art. Programming is a hobby. People get paid for programming. Gardening is a hobby. People get paid for doing that. Like you can make your hobby into a job. That shouldn't be something that we fucking demonize. Oh, you want to make money from something you love? Huh, clearly you don't love it then. Like, what? What are we talking about? Yes, they can love it and make money from it. Because, why not? That shouldn't be something we demonize. So it's stupid as fuck to say that you can't try and make money from mods. That's dumb. And that's their stance. They're like, oh, we're gonna remove anything that has like any it's like a worse version of a different mod that you pay for. And it's like, why? Why are we doing that? who gives a fuck? Oh, woe is me. There's a better version of this mod out there. So you can still get this mod and use it as it is. Who gives a fuck if there's a better version? If you want the better version, you can buy the better version. If you don't want the better version, then you don't have to buy the better version, right? Like, that's just how it should be. Why are we taking mods off of there because they have a better version that you have to pay for? That's stupid. It's dumb, and I think people are starting to come around to how hypocritical the Nexus like moderators and the people who run the website are, right? Which is cool, because they've always kind of been like this, but it was never blown up to this proportion because, well, I don't know. I don't know why, honestly. I guess because they never went quite this ham on it. Before, they would be hypocritical, but it would never get this, like, blown up. It wouldn't blow up this much. So, yeah. It's... People talk about, you know, Bethesda being this, or like CD Projekt Red doing this, or another gaming company doing this, and they talk about how, oh yeah, look, game companies are all greedy, and they're all hypocritical and stuff, and then I'm like, bro, so are fucking players. That's just how it is. Everybody's a hypocrite. That's what it is. A goal as a person should be that you want to try to be as little of a hypocrite as possible. You can't stop yourself from being a hypocrite, because you're gonna be hypocritical sometimes without meaning to. It's in our nature. It's just what we are. Rules for thee, not rules for me, not for thee. Right? That's what it is. Rules for thee, then not for me. Sorry, other way around. Point is that we care more about ourselves than other people. It's just how we are. It's animals. We're animals. We still go by that. We just separate ourselves by having a bit more class, I guess you could say, for the most part. So, you know, like Bethesda's done some stupid stuff with modding, with their monetization of modding, though, right? Like, they tried to go way hard on it several times, and then eventually they settled down with the Creation Club, which is fine. It's whatever. The problem with the Creation Club is that whenever they have to update the game, it messes with a whole bunch of mods, and then it just gets a whole mess, right? I think modders can be pretty, what's it called, think of the term, self-righteous, I guess. They can be, like, kind of full of themselves, where it's like, I've seen several modders who go, I don't want to support the old version of the old version of Skyrim Special Edition, which is 1.597 pre-anniversary edition, right? And they don't want to support it, right? And it's like, okay, that's fine. But here's the thing. If you don't want to support it, at least let your mod be open source so that people who do want to play 1.597 can, you know, take your mod and convert it to 1.597, right? But there's a lot of modders who don't do that. They're like, no, you can't actually have open source, and no, I'm not gonna support 1.597, and it's stupid, right? I think in general you should probably just be playing Anniversary Edition at this point anyways, but I know that some people play 1.597. Like, I'm playing that right now myself for Skyrim, because the mod list I downloaded happened to be 1.597, so that's what it is. But, you know, it's really annoying when modders get, like, super self-righteous and they're like, well, you know, you can't convert this to this because I made the mod. It's like, okay, cool, I guess, but don't be such a dick about it, right? If you don't want to do it, then don't be a dick and be like, I hate that people keep asking me to convert this to an older version of Special Edition. You guys are stupid, I'm not doing that. And then people ask, well, then can I convert it? And they're like, no! And it's like, bro, you're a dick. What the fuck? You know? And, you know, you should be able to call people out on that shit. So, but yeah, I don't know. I just been talking about how Skyblivion is probably not going to get shut down. That's all I wanted to do. And got a bit distracted and a bit carried away. We talked about other stuff, going down a little rabbit hole. But hey, I guess that's a unscripted video for you. Am I right? So, you know, if you're watching this, anybody who watching this, you know, and you got thoughts on this type of stuff, I don't know, comment down below, I guess. I don't know. Maybe we can discuss it down there. We can discuss the views on modding and all that shit. I'm hyped for Skyblivion. That's epic, you know. maybe someday Sky Morrowind will come out. Maybe before Elder Scrolls 6, who knows? Maybe not. Maybe it'll come out as Elder Scrolls 6 comes out, so then it's like, oh, sorry guys, it's time for you to port Sky Morrowind to, or Morrowind, Sky Morrowind, to Elder Scrolls 6's, creation engine. Anyways, that's the end of the video. Go out there, watch some cool videos. Go watch some better videos than this shit, you know? Go watch, like, actual videos and not this slop.